What if your life has felt like you've been blown from place to place? Not because you were lost, but because you were living like a dandelion seed in the wind. No roots, no control over where you land, no certainty of how long you'll stay, just moving. Because something or someone kept carrying you. But here's the real question. What if the reason you never settled is because you never felt safe enough to take root? I didn't realize it then, but I wasn't just moving through life. I was drifting through it, like a dandelion that never got a chance to take root. Welcome to the Dandelion Chronicles. I'm Imana, and today we're talking about what it means to live your life unrooted and what happens when you finally realize you were always meant to grow. If this speaks to you, subscribe, share it, and stay with me because somewhere in this story, you might recognize your own wind. Before I really understood any of this, I was already living like a dandelion seed, scattered in my relationships. If someone showed interest in me, I quickly landed. I leaned in, attached fast, because I wanted to take root somewhere. I wanted to feel chosen. But just like a dandelion seed that hasn't taken hold yet, the moment the ground felt uncertain, I lifted again. Emotionally at first, and then completely, because I expected instability. I expected to be uprooted. So I never fully rooted myself to anyone. But what I didn't know was how to trust love that didn't shift in the wind, even when God already said, I will never leave or forsake you. And that same pattern showed up in how I lived. I kept my clothes inside a suitcase, not fully packed, but not fully unpacked, just ready. Because unpacking meant something to me. It meant I've taken root here, I trust this soil, or I believe I can grow here. And I didn't believe that. So I lived like a seed, never becoming a plant, always ready to be carried away. I lived like a dandelion that had already been uprooted, floating, carried by the wind, just moving. And when you're constantly in motion like that, you stop asking yourself where you belong, and you start believing, maybe I don't belong anywhere. And then I met Carolyn, who was my ex-boyfriend's sister-in-law. He and I moved in with his brother's family until he decided that he wanted someone else and left me with his brother's family. I can't make this stuff up. I was so afraid when we found out that my ex-boyfriend would not be returning because I wasn't sure where I would go. I had no one else. But instead of telling me that I had to leave, Carolyn graciously welcomed me to stay with her family. Did feel safe and loved and as if I belonged. And even though I was still a huge ball of chaos, she was still gentle with me, just like she was with everyone around her. She had a quiet strength that I didn't fully understand at that time. She provided something that was, up until this point, very foreign to me. True love without expectation. She didn't require me to prove myself. She didn't shift with my inconsistency. She made space for me. She nurtured me. She saw me. She knew my story with my mother, And she listened and held my secret sacred. She never made me feel unwelcome or unwanted. She treated me as if I were her own. She taught me to cook, spoke with me about life, and without realizing it, I had landed in soil that could have held me. Healthy soil, patient soil, safe soil. And for a moment, I felt my roots trying to form. But here's the truth. Just because the soil is good doesn't mean the seed knows how to take root. I didn't know how. And so even though I had the opportunity to grow, I still lifted, I still left because I hadn't learned how to stay. And every good thing in my life, including Carolyn, was evidence that every good and perfect gift comes from above. I didn't know how to receive that yet. After that, I joined the Navy, not from patriotism or purpose, not from clarity, but because a recruiter called me and I didn't have anything else to do. In the Navy, I found structure, identity, and solidarity. There was camaraderie, purpose, and order. But something in me still didn't fully settle. So I kept being tossed by the wind, and I started heavily drinking and serial dating. I was making decisions that dishonored me, trying to find a place to plant my roots. And in the middle of all that, I knew I wasn't planting myself. And after a very dissatisfying relationship, I found myself being carried again. I was compelled to leave the military due to safety issues. But here's what was different. I had 2 young babies in tow now. Now this little uprooted seed finds herself responsible for her 2 seedlings. And although I didn't know where the wind would carry us, nor did I have a plan, God did. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." After the Navy, that same pattern followed me. I moved from job to job, field to field, industry to industry. And I called it something else: progression, advancement, growth. But when I really looked at it, it didn't add up. Because if I was really rooted, I would have grown in one place. Instead, I kept moving, still a seed, still unsettled, still searching for somewhere to land. But here's what changed everything. Every place I landed, even briefly, I helped people. Every job, every role, different environments, same impact. And that's when I realized, even when I felt like I was just being blown around, God had already planted something in me: purpose. Because the steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord. So even when I wasn't rooted, I wasn't random. And even spiritually, I was still that same seed. I went from church to church, from Carolyn's Baptist church to a Lutheran church to non-denominational spaces. Each one different, each one offering something. And for a while, I would like them. I would settle briefly. And then I would see something that didn't sit right with me. Asking for money constantly, judgment toward the gay community, leaders enriching themselves in the name of Yeshua, hypocrisy, gossip, backbiting. And I would feel, this isn't it. I don't feel home here, and I don't feel as if I'm growing spiritually. And I would leave again, the seed in the wind, still searching for somewhere to land. And over time, I stopped seeing God in those spaces altogether. So I stopped going. But here's what's important. Even though I was searching for him in churches, Yeshua was never confined to any building. Because God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. I didn't understand that then, so I kept looking for something that had to be realized internally. A dandelion seed doesn't control where it lands, but wherever it lands, it still carries the same design, the same purpose, the same potential to grow. And that was me, unrooted, but not without purpose. And then something shifted, not in the wind, but in me. I stopped running so quickly. I started noticing when I felt the urge to leave. And instead of lifting, I stayed. I stayed present. I stayed aware. I stayed with myself. I gave these moments to God because in that moment, he told me to be still and know that I am God. And that stillness was how I fully and finally began to take root. And I realized something. I wasn't meant to stay a seed forever. I was meant to grow, because a dandelion's purpose isn't to stay in the wind. It's to take root and to become something whole. So maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're just living like a seed, carried by situations you didn't choose, moving through spaces that didn't hold you. But it doesn't mean that you don't belong. It means you haven't rooted yet. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, where am I still living life like a seed in the wind? And what it would look like to finally take root. Not in a place, not in a person, but within yourself. Because sometimes it's not about finding better soil. It's about becoming someone who knows how to grow wherever you're planted. Instead of searching for soil that was never meant to cultivate you. Because everything you need has already been planted within you. The pieces of your story and the peace of God within you are coming together. You are not broken. You are a beautiful spirit learning how to heal a wounded soul. If this spoke to you, subscribe, share it, and send it to someone who needs it. And if you feel led, share your story with me, because your story might be the very seed that helps someone else finally take root. Until next time, keep growing.